So, so again, just a reminder, the routine when we come in, we'll always have the check-in sheet over here, so I hope you hear instructions on the board. I'm going to keep asking folks to put name tags on. It's going to be more obvious when I start moving you around when you're sitting with people that you haven't sat with before, but that'll be handy. So that'll happen today. Your folders are still with the same group of people, so in there you'll see I've made some comments on the recorder forms from last time. Those are just fine, what I'm seeing. If anything, err a little bit on the side of making sure you do complete sentences to have a complete thought and make that represent what your group talked about, because I look at that and I learn from your experience, because we may not talk about everything that's on the recorder sheet. I want to acknowledge the fact that you guys did complete surveys. Particularly, I looked at the one that was about you. We have a lot of interesting people in here. We have sports people, we have dancers, we have linguists, we have business people, we have healthcare folks, all kinds of interesting things that make you different. What makes you more or less the same is you're kind of looking forward to the science part, but there are some things you're not so sure about because of whatever the challenges happen to be. So, so thanks for that. That helps me get to know you guys a little bit better, and you had some suggestions about things you might be interested in doing. So again, the group notes were fine, so kind of keep that up. Every time we have reading, there's individual notes that I've asked you to take. Whatever you wrote for today, I'd like to collect and take a look at, so make sure you leave them over here on the table. You can hang on to those for the moment, okay? If you're wondering, did I look at your notes from the second class day, somebody asked me, the answer is yes. While you were working, I checked around and saw that you all had some. That looks pretty reasonable. So I didn't actually read them, but I saw that you had done that work and everybody had credit.
If the notes they're all like continuous, so like I have stuff from the last one and.
Oh, you just did them continuously?
Yeah.
Are they like stuck in notebooks where you don't want to rip them out?
Well, I can rip them out. I'll just have old stuff.
All right. So let me think about a different way to handle that. I don't want it to upset your routine. One of the things that some of you guys mentioned is you really like to be organized and have things in control. So I don't want to be the cause of something that creates little anxieties. So let me think about that. If you happen to have it loose, well, let me think about that. I got like 15 minutes to figure this out. We'll see if I can multi-process. Okay. One thing that I didn't say in class, but I did through emails, is say I would like to have a standing assignment. Just wanted to give you a heads up about that. I explained it on Blackboard. One of the handouts in your folders is about the standing assignment, which is the same thing as I posted on Blackboard. So essentially, I just want you to write a little bit each week about the same thing. It's not a test. You don't have to do any research. I'm not looking for what you think is the best answer. I just want you to write off the top of your head, this is what you think about heat, temperature, the relationship between those two things, and anything that happened in the week to inform that. And then you're going to have a sweep of that across the semester. Send that to me electronically each week, and do this sort of format. So obviously don't write my name, but your name, your initial, and then put the month and the day. So if you know, and it doesn't matter what exact day it is. So if you happen to sit down and write it on Sunday, put your name and initial, and then put January or February, whichever Sunday is, and then whatever that date is. And then I can hang on to those, and it actually organizes it for me because everything's laid out the same way.
The first one I wrote like in my notebook, so do you want me to just type it up and send it to you?
What you could do is you could scan it.
Okay.
Okay, so if you did something handwritten, you could scan it and send it to me, that would be fine.
Okay.
Okay, because then I just have the file, then you don't have to let it go, you don't have to tear it out in your notebook. Okay. All right, so that'll just be a standing assignment that I may not remind you about a lot, but I'll take a look at those as we go. What I see written there may adjust how I do things in class, but don't treat it as something that you have to do research for, that you have to write an exact answer for. Just write your own words, your own thoughts. I just want to see thoughtfulness. I don't need to see great scientific explanation, because we're evolving that through the semester.
So we do that each week?
Like, yeah, so it's, simple answer is yes, somewhere between like Thursday and Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay, it doesn't matter exactly when. How many folks actually did one? Okay, you guys are all honest. Doesn't happen that late now. Let me not go there. Okay, so, so if you did first one, great. I would like you to do another one after this class, even though we just had one. So let's just have the routine of between Thursday and Tuesday. Okay? Yes,
When
Emily?
you say send it to you, is there a place on Blackboard for it, or do you want to start it?
It's, what I'll do is just send it to my regular email, chris.bauer@unh.edu. I'll stick it in a folder, and then I can move it to where I want it to go. Kyle?
And you said that's the file name you want on it?
Yeah, so always lead with your last name and your initial, and then the month and date, and then when I pull it in, it automatically organizes it so that I've got all of yours together and I can see the chronology. So that will help me organize it. Okay? All right, as we start coming in, we may have to adjust. How many folks were successful at getting access to those PhET simulations and may have played with them a little bit? How many folks were unsuccessful even though you tried? Okay, so maybe stick around afterwards for a couple of minutes. We'll try to figure out what the issue is, so that you're able to actually do that. I'm probably going to give you a homework assignment that involves playing in a specific way with that, and so I want to make sure you can. You don't have to do it on your own computer to do it. Okay, it's handy, but it's not essential. I'll say more about that. In your folders also, there are the question bank questions from the first day and the second day. I'm just giving you these so that you know that they're there, but I've posted them on Blackboard. All I've done is take your questions and reorganize them into categories. So that's a resource for us, because I can go to those and say, what questions do we want to answer or address? Those are a resource for you. It may spawn an idea that you want to spend some more time on, perhaps in your project later in the semester. We're going to have a lot more questions that we're able to spend time on. So, as I said, it's a bank, and sometimes you have to go to the bank and make a withdrawal. So, and what it's there for. Or maybe it's gathering interest while it's there. Just a couple of questions, because this came up at the question bank, a couple of easy ones. Someone asked, why do we use the temperatures we did last time for the waters that you stuck your finger into? I didn't quite understand the question, but after I read what you sent me, I think I figured it out. So I picked temperatures that were extreme enough so I was sure that you could sense the difference without actually hurting yourself. Okay, so the ice water was easy because 0 degree water or 2 degree water isn't going to hurt you. The hot water I made about 50 centigrade, so that's like a hot shower. And then the room temperature water I just let sit out. That's about a 20 centigrade difference between each of those, or about a 40 degree Fahrenheit difference. I was sure that you could sense the difference between those temperatures. If you make them too close, it's really hard to tell. Right? So it was a setup so that everybody could have a common set of observations. And then I just put them in those insulated mugs and let them sit there for about a half hour before you put your hands on them. So the temperatures would have changed a little bit, but not too much. So we do activities. I'm often trying to design them so that whatever phenomenon we're talking about is not something that you have to take my word for, but you can actually experience. Someone asked about Quicksilver. Who knows what Quicksilver is? Anybody? Anybody?
silver in the liquid phase.
Okay, well, that would be true, okay? And when you melt silver, you could call it quicksilver, but there's actually a substance that name goes along. Any thoughts? Mercury. Okay, mercury, it's silver, and it's liquid, and one of the names that folks had for it was quicksilver. Silver has the symbol Ag on the periodic table, and the name associated with it was argentum. That's Latin for the name that was attached to that. Mercury is abbreviated Hg on the periodic table. That comes from this word, hydrogyrum. Why did they call it that? Hot water or liquid, argyrum, argentum, silver. So mercury was given the liquid silver name because people knew about silver and they said, well, it's not the same as silver, so we're going to give it a different name. So that's the derivation of that. Those two elements were some of the first elements that were actually known in their pure form back 2,000 years ago. So I just thought I'd mention those two things. Okay.